Hello, this is Dan Farisi, Group Editor, Commercial and Security with Emerald. So happy to be joined today by Joel Harris, who is President of Solutions360. We have a really exciting conversation in store. We're going to start with what exactly a unified ERP platform means for technology integrators. Then we're really going to burrow in a whole lot deeper. Thank you so much, Joel, for joining me here today. Really appreciate your joining me and Solutions360's leadership.
Thank you, Dan. It's great to be here and great to chat with you again. I love our discussions.
Likewise, it was great to see you at BLC, and I'm glad we're continuing the conversation now. So let's start right at the top. As I mentioned, I'd like to know exactly what a unified ERP platform means for technology integrators and why you think it's becoming essential in today's business environment.
That's a great question. It's one of the things that we promote heavily. And a unified ERP means that you have one system of record or one source of truth across your business. When I was leading systems integration companies, as I've done for the past 30 years, I usually had to have 5 or 6 core systems as a system of truth. And then the data would conflict and would create arguments across the team. So I'd have to have a project management system. I'd have to have a quoting system. I'd have to have a CRM. I'd have to have an accounting package. I'd have to have a service contractor, a service ticketing system. And so when I was leading a larger company, all the departments would use their system of record to come and give me a version of the truth that was not unified across the entire company. So what we mean by a unified ERP is we have one database that has a workflow that's spread across all those functions I just mentioned so that everybody is looking at the same system of record, more importantly, the same source of truth. And then you can have a real dialogue about the state of your business. So you're not worried about the discrepancies in data because I spent so much of my time with my leadership team leaning in and finding out what's the truth. And so when you can take that question off the table, now you can actually work on your business.
One source of truth, as you say, is so valuable, so indispensable. And this kind of leads to the next question. What would you say are the most common pain points integrators face before they implement a unified system like Q360?
When you think about that, one source of truth, if you don't have one source of truth, now you're forced into entering the data into all those systems. So you quote it in one system, and now I have to pull that out and I have to enter it into some front end of some accounting system. And then I have to pull it out of there and I have to enter it into the project management system. And then when I'm done with the project, I have to take all those pieces and parts and serial numbers and MAC addresses and all that information. I have to put it in my ticketing system so I can actually support it from the customer. Just the sheer person power of time needed in order to enter all that data multiple times is immense, an immense non-value added activity. It's a drag on the resource of the company. Obviously, when you do that, you enter the data multiple times. We did a study at one of the companies I was at. They were running around a $150 million integrator. We found that we purchased the wrong material 6% of the time because of entering the conflict in data between what our sales order system said and what the customer was actually expecting and versus what our purchasing system said. It is an immense and enormous drain on a company's financials. And so those are the big pain points, and you have no visibility, and then you have all the arguments that I referred to earlier. So take all that waste out of your system and see how productive your system can be.
Let's then pivot from the pain points to those results and those efficiencies integrators typically start to see. I'm curious how long it takes for ROI to really materialize. Is this something that would happen pretty quickly, or does it take time to really bear fruit?
Our customers tell us that once they've implemented, they are blown away by the visibility into the data they immediately have. It does take time for people to get used to new workflows and getting new processes. There's no denying that, right? So with every change, there is the change curve and the change effect that takes time for people to learn how to use a new system. We all experience every time one of our document providers changes kind of the look and feel of it. It takes us, a half a day to figure out where they hid the last button, right? And so when you move from an ERP and transition that from whatever you're using into a new system, there's a natural lag in being able to do it. But the visibility from the leadership level of having one source of truth is immediate and apparent, and people start seeing the benefit of that all right out of the gate.
Even with that immediate benefit, I would think that the ERP price tag might sometimes scare off companies, especially if they're used to juggling multiple disconnected tools. I'm curious what would you would say to a business leader who might be on the fence, maybe worried about cost concerns. What would you say?
Well, we come back to that age-old question: what's your total cost of ownership, right? So it's absolutely correct. If you're running a system that you've already paid for, the cost of the capital cost of acquiring that system is not much. Your people are already used to using it, so you don't have an implementation cost. If you go to a new system, ours or anybody's out there, you're going to have to pay both of those. You're going to have to pay for the new technology, and you're going to have to pay for the implementation of it. So it is a big price tag, and it's something you should not enter into lightly, and your people have to go through a learning curve. So all those are cost components on the total cost of ownership. But the question is, if you benchmark across your organization, the simple things that we just talked about, without all the added benefits of visibility and planning and being able to foresee into the future and make better business decisions, what is that total cost of ownership? During COVID, we had a customer who came to us after COVID and said, I would not have survived without Solutions 360 system, because it gave me the visibility into my company when things were just in complete disarray. So what's the value to your company by staying in business? So sometimes that isn't true every day of our lives, but when you hit those crisis points and you need actionable information and insight and foresight coming from your system, does your system give that to you? Or are you sitting there arguing around the table about what is actually happening in your business? So just number one, total cost of ownership. Just how much is it costing all that non-value added time? If you could free those people up to do customer facing value added activities, what is that on a day? And you take that week by week, month by month, year after year after year after year. What is the total cost of that? And the ROI on a new system pays itself off pretty fast.
That's a really compelling testimonial. I mean, literally, as you say, this may not be every day where it's going to necessarily save a business, but that's really compelling and it goes to show the value. Do you want to just talk a little bit about this, a system like Q360, how it turns data into real business intelligence, how you can maybe give an example of that translating to better decision making or better profitability?
That's a great question. So that's one of the things that really we think is a differentiator and sets our system apart from any other ERP that's out there, is that we provide we all know what I believe about all of our customers and all the people listening to this call, Dan, is that as business owners, if we know we have a problem, we'll take action to fix it. What we don't often know is that we have a problem coming at us. And so our system, if you simply schedule the material that you have on your system and you schedule the labor to implement or use that material, then you have a very good visibility into what the revenue recognition in the future periods is going to be. And so if you see what revenue recognition is going to be in the future periods and it's acceptable and hits your target, you can relax and go work on your business. If it's not, then you drill in and you say, what do I have to do to pull work in? If I have to change my cost structure, I can now do something because I have visibility into the system. And so that's when we talk about business intelligence. It's not looking in the past and making guesses about what the future is. It's saying, here's the data. Here are all the booked orders I already have in my system. If I simply deliver this work, what would that result be and what would that look like? And it makes a huge difference if that booked order is going to be delivered a year from now, or if it's going to be delivered in 2 weeks from now. So having that visibility into when is my workforce going to deliver the revenue that I already have on my books, creates the opportunity for owners to take action.
There's no doubt about it. That visibility is worth its weight in gold. And thank you for really emphasizing and underlining that point. As we begin to wrap up the conversation, I'll just ask you for maybe one misconception about ERP systems that you would like to clear up here and now for our audience. Correct those misconceptions and make sure they truly understand.
As a former system integrator executive, I've implemented, before I joined Solutions 360, I've implemented 5 ERP systems. And every time we would go through and we would do this selection, we get the consultants in, and we were talking fairly large scale implementations. And the thing I wished I would have paid more attention to was the implementation team that was doing it. We spent all of our time selecting the software. And that's good. You need to select the right software. But once you've got the right software selected, if the implementation team that you're working with is just, came from implementing retail or distribution or implementing something other than what our industry needs, then your implementation team is not skilled in your business. And you're going to spend a lot of time teaching them about your business, living through their errors that they're making and implementing your software. So my biggest misconception is it's not just software. Pay attention to the implementation team, pay attention to the workflow, pay attention to the processes that you will use surrounding the technology stack that you're purchasing.
Real words of wisdom. Thank you so much, Joel, for joining me today, talking about ERP platforms, the benefits of unification, that visibility you really underlined. A really informative conversation. I'm grateful for you joining us, and giving Commercial Integrators audience an opportunity to learn.
I'm grateful for the platform you provide us, Dan. Thank you for the great partnership we have over the years.
Thank you. Pleasure to have been joined by Joel Harris, President of Solutions360. My name is Dan Farisi, Group Editor, Commercial and Security with Emerald. Please keep your eyes on commercialintegrator.com in the days and weeks ahead, as well as CI plus SSI in print for more thought leadership content from industry-leading suppliers like Solutions360. Thanks again for tuning in.